All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports and Podcasting Network at 9 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, all the rumors, all the drama, all the conspiracy theories. We talk about superstar inactive statuses, superstar injury status. We talk about their contracts, contract negotiations, and maybe some awesome extensions. We talk about promotions from WWE to AEW to TNA to Ring of Honor, to New Japan Professional Wrestling, to Game Changing Wrestling. Basically, if it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here and cover it on the show. So remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network. All right, without further ado, let's talk about the top 10 greatest women in professional wrestling according to your boy, Eric Rodriguez, the host of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. And I gotta be honest, much like every list you'll ever come across, whether it's the top 10 quarterbacks of all time, whether it's the top 10 shooting guards in the NBA, whether it's the top 10 home run hitters of all time, in Major League Baseball. There's always going to be some sort of a biases. There's always going to be some sort of a, I was, kind of brought up on professional wrestling during the Attitude Era, during the pre-Women's Evolution era. Then I kind of took a little bit of a break. I got to be honest. I took a little bit of a break from professional wrestling. Eventually dove back into it late 2010s. And then as of right now, I'm back into it 1,010%. I'm heavy into it. And I don't really see my fandom. I don't really see my attention going elsewhere, especially under the Triple H, Paul Levesque era. But I'm going to give you guys my top 10 WWE women's wrestlers of all time. But first and foremost, let's have some honorable mentions here. We're going to talk about Alundra Blaze. Alundra Blaze is not on my top 10, but she is a huge trailblazer in terms of women's wrestling. A 3-time women's champion. She's a WCW Cruiserweight champion. Obviously, Alundra Blaze, recently being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Super cool, super awesome. I definitely feel like she is, like I said, she's like, she's a trailblazer. That's pretty, she's amazing. She's amazing. She did the WWE women's wrestling once when a lot of people were kind of turning a blind eye to it. Probably one of those things where probably once when the women's wrestling came on, a lot of fans got up to get another beer, got another soda. She made sure and she put on some great matches against Bull Nakano, and it's awesome. Very admirable. So, as one of the honorable mentions on my list, another honorable mention I have is Melina Perez. She's a 3-time women's champion. She's also a 2-time Divas champion. So, definitely think that's pretty cool, 1,010%. She was great, especially during my ending era of professional wrestling, during a little bit, would it really be the Ruthless Aggression era? I'm not too sure. I don't think so. Another honorable mention, we have Jacqueline. Jacqueline, one of my favorite wrestlers during the Attitude Era. I remember when her, Ivory would go at it. It was, it was pretty cool. It was pretty awesome. Sable, but I wasn't a huge Sable guy. I was more into Jacqueline and whatnot. So Jacqueline, 2-time women's champion. She was also a Cruiserweight champion. She's also a WWE Hall of Famer. So we talk about our honorable mentions. Now I want to get into my dishonorable mentions. I'm just kidding. No. These are some women that, like I said, I went over the Sports Illustrated list. I'm kind of happy that these girls didn't make it on the top 10. Ronda Rousey, not a huge Ronda Rousey guy. I feel like, although she came from MMA and the UFC, she was and although maybe she should have started in WWE NXT, and she has said backstage that during her time in WWE creatives didn't really kind of give her and the other women kind of a little bit of a rundown as opposed to the men. But, maybe she could have been great. I feel like maybe she was a little bit too UFC for the WWE. But yeah, I'm happy she wasn't really on that list. Sable, like I said, I wasn't a huge Sable kind of guy. She was, I'm not saying that she wasn't a good wrestler. I'm not saying that whatsoever at all. I remember she was with Mark Mero. And she was, that pretty face, the manager kind of thing. Winning the WWE Championship, but But honestly, I'm just happy that Sable wasn't really on that list. Another one that I was happy that wasn't on the list was Stephanie McMahon. Corporately, it's cool, and I know that she was the driving voice behind the women's evolution and this and that and the other. But I feel like maybe, just maybe, and I know, having a hard-headed father like Vince McMahon, like his father was to him, you don't really kind of take advice from your kids. But, maybe, Stephanie McMahon could have been like, hey, Dad, maybe you should stop, with all these, like, but, then again, a lot said that, there's been speculation saying that, and that she wasn't aware of any of the allegations going around. But, she was the champion, like, around the whole Triple H, McMahon, Helmsley era. And I feel like she was only the women's champion to kind of stick it to the women's division that, hey, we hold all the gold here. Which isn't a good reason of being a top 10 woman of all time. Nevertheless, top 20. So I'm happy Stephanie McMahon was not on that list, 1,010%. So let's go ahead and go on to my top 10 women of all time in terms of professional wrestling. Number 10, I got to start with Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, she's a two-time women's champion, SmackDown. She's a SmackDown champion. She's won the Women's World Tag Team titles twice, and she's a Royal Rumble winner back in 2021. She's the future of WWE, still kicking ass and taking names. And at number 9, I got Mickie James. Mickie James, she's a huge advocate for professional wrestling in the women's division. She's a 5-time WWE Women's Champion. She's been Divas Champion. She's also been TNA Knockouts Women's Champion as well. And Mickie James she's been impressive. Once when she was back then, with her and Trish Stratus, the storylines that they had together was pretty funny, pretty interesting. They had great matches, nice chemistry together inside the ring. But every single time they stepped inside that ring, it was going to be an absolute, banger. So, Mickie James, I have at number 9. At number 8, I got Asuka. Asuka, WWE Women's Champion 3 times. NXT Women's Champion. She's a SmackDown Women's Champion. She's a Women's Tag Team Champion 4 times. Money in the Bank winner in 2020. And Royal Rumble winner in 2018. And she's coming back as well. So she still has a lot of accolades probably awaiting her. So 1,010% got to throw my flowers to put Asuka right there at number 8. All right, number 7, I got Rhea Bloody Ripley, a 2-time Women's World Heavyweight Champion, Raw Women's Champion, Tag Team Women's World Tag Team Champion, NXT Champion, NXT UK Champion, Royal Rumble winner in 2023. And if she doesn't regain that WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship, maybe she might be a shoo-in to win the Women's Money in the Bank match. So, that would be pretty badass. That'd be pretty cool. 1,010%. But Rhea Ripley still kicking. Like I said about Belair, like I said about Asuka, these girls have a lot more accolades ahead of them. So, for one, I can't wait to see Rhea Ripley and what she does in the future in terms of WWE. All right, at number 6, I got Chyna. Chyna, the WWE Women's Champion and WWF Intercontinental Champion, two-time WWF Intercontinental Champion. Like Alundra Blaze, I got to be honest, she was a trailblazer in the women's division. And everything that happened, with Chyna and, her booking in WWE after you've kind of seen, I don't know. I just feel like this woman was a huge reason why women's wrestling was prominent in the early 90s. Not early 90s, like early 2000s, late 90s. Part of D-Generation X. She literally was the cornerstone of women's wrestling. There wasn't really any hardcore, hardcore women out there that, when you bring up the WWF/WWE to just a random person who wasn't a wrestling fan, but they would know Chyna. Everybody remembers the the Wonder of the World, who probably should have had some WWE title runs more, but I'm guessing they didn't give it to her because she would just be an absolute dominant champion. It's kind of like how you're seeing Rhea Ripley right now in the WWE when she's the champion, she just looks unstoppable, and I feel like Chyna would have been she would have been a 5 to 10 time WWE Women's Champion and had title reigns that exceeded about 200, 300 plus days. So, there's a reason why she doesn't have that much gold or accolades to her name. But the reason why she doesn't have all those accolades to her name is because of how damn impressive she really was. So in a way, it's kind of like what doesn't kill you make you stronger. I guess you can say that's what I'm alluding to. But, that's the reason why I have Chyna so high. Because, I know WWE was like, I don't think anyone's going to take this girl down. And no one would really believe it. So, number 5, I got Lita. Lita, a 4-time women's champion, a tag team women's champion, and a 2014 Hall of Famer. I remember when she debuted with S.A. Rios. And, he was pushing her way too many times. And then Matt Hardy got involved. And then the whole thing with Edge happened. And I'm just kidding. No, moving on. But she was great. Every single time she stepped inside the ring, and if it wasn't for her landing on her neck, injuries happen. Sports injuries happen, and unfortunately for Lita, it was one that ultimately haunted her, kept her away from professional wrestling, and But we all appreciate what Lita did for the women's division. You see a lot of high flying back flips in terms of like you see Tiffany Stratton, like you see Io Sky. You see a lot of these women that women's wrestling wasn't like really like that. Wasn't really you don't see them going on the top ropes of hitting something other than an elbow drop. Lita would do crazy stuff. She would jump from the top rope to the outside. She would jump. She would leap over the top rope. She was Team Extreme, no fear. So, she definitely, paved the way for women to kind of be like, hey, you know what? That's a new, innovative style in professional wrestling that, WWE women's superstars to this day grow up watching, and they're like, oh, you know what? That's pretty badass. And then lo and behold, then they become WWE superstars, and then they, have some moves that they, acquired from Lita. So definitely love and respect that. At number 4, I'm having these girls share a spot. I'm just kidding. No, I am though. At number 4, I have Bayley and Sasha Banks, Mercedes Mone. Both these girls still kicking ass and taking names. I have them sharing a spot because they're actually best friends in real life, guys. So don't get on my arse too much there. But Sasha Banks is a 5-time women's world champion, SmackDown women's world champion, a tag team champion 3 times. And Bayley has accomplished basically everything under the sun. 2-time WWE Women's Champion, a 2-time SmackDown Champion, a Tag Team Champion twice, and NXT Champion, where Rumble winner back in 2024, and she won the Money in the Bank back in 2019. So, both these girls, absolutely impressive. I have them sharing the number 4 spot, not out of disrespect, out of respect for their best friends. Come on, man, they were best friends. Moving on, I have Becky Lynch number 3. And like I said, in terms of creating a list, there's going to be some biases. There's going to be some, I feel like this person did this because, during the era, during the, the generation she fought, she never really had the opportunities to accomplish all the stuff that Becky could have accomplished. So I got Becky Lynch sitting at number 3, a 5-time women's world champion, a 2-time Raw women's champion, a tag team champion, NXT champion, Royal Rumble winner back in 2019. I bet I would, she would be a shoo-in for a women's Money in the Bank winner this year. It would be, and she would represent it well. It'd be pretty awesome to watch. At number 2, I have Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, 1,010% Raw. She's been a WWE Raw Women's Champion 6 times. A WWE Women's SmackDown Champion 7 times. She's been a Divas Champion, Tag Team Champion, 2-time NXT Champion, Royal Rumble winner, the first ever 2-time winner in women's history, and in 2020 and recently in this year, 2025. And Charlotte Flair, much like all the other girls I was talking about that are still kicking, looks to be racking up some more accolades here. So I can't wait to see what Charlotte holds in favor. She would definitely be a favorite to win the women's Money in the Bank if she doesn't, dethrone Tiffany Stratton for that WWE Women's Championship. And at last, number 1, I have Trish Stratus. I have Trish Stratus, guys. 7-time WWE Women's Champion. She's a hardcore champion, 2013 Hall of Famer, and she's back, and she's in absolute great shape. I feel like she has a WWE Women's United States Championship run in her. I can see her, winning a tag team championships with somebody. But, I definitely, you got to love and respect Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus literally She did it all. The pre-women's evolution, with her, Lita, Victoria, Mickie James, all these girls that literally gave everything to turn the perception of the WWE universe, to show WWE creative and the bosses and officials, along with the training of Fit Finlay, that we are more than just a pretty face. We are more than just bra and panty matches. We are more than just mud wrestling, this and that and the other, pillow fights, fulfill my fantasy, Playboy, all that other, stupid crap. They were more than that. They were very talented, very athletic. Ultimately, they didn't get a lot of television time, so whenever they did, they're like, okay, let's make this badass. Give me like an elbow or moonsault. Let's hit a superplex, which was highly unknown in terms of women's wrestling. Was anything from the top rope, or basically anything different than different than a hair pull or a scratch, or just something bogus like that. And Trish Stratus, like I was kind of talking about when I was talking about Becky Lynch, there was no women's Money in the Bank. There was no women's Royal Rumble. There was no women's World Tag Team Championships. There was no women's mid-card titles. But if there were, she would definitely have won then. Her reigns would have towered over all these other women. And and like I said, in terms of list, you have your biases. And I grew up once when Trish Stratus was basically, on top of the world, 110% Stratusfaction. Gotta be brutally honest. I used to collect wrestling dolls. Used to play with them. Had no interest whatsoever of buying any girl doll there was on the shelf besides Trish Stratus's. I would have the Trish Stratus doll, fight my Triple H doll, fight my Edge doll, and Shawn Michaels, and it was cool. She was badass. She was great. She was a huge generational. She was a generational talent in the women's division. That's basically she was that bridge. For me, I feel like in the Attitude Era, Ivory, Jacqueline, Chyna, Miss Kitty, you would have those, those weird, women matches that were highly exploiting and, super bad. And then as of what the women have become now, you had to kind of have that bridge to consistently poke WWE officials, to consistently change the perception of WWE fans. And she was that bridge. Trish Stratus was that bridge, alongside, like I said, with Lita, alongside with Victoria, Mickie James. And, you would, down the line, you would get, some other women as well. WWE Hall of Famer Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler. They're all great. They're all cool. But none were as impressive. And WWE didn't have the confidence to put the title on anybody that they didn't think could usher them into a new women's evolution. Besides Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus was the one. She was the golden goose. She was chosen. And you've seen her when she joined. When she was the manager for Test and Albert. TNA, all that stuff. She had to pay her dues. She was Vince McMahon's assistant. It was crazy. Even during the Vince McMahon not parody. Damn it. During the documentary, Mr. McMahon on Netflix. I'm not saying that what she was saying was probably a lie, because I feel like maybe back in that time, maybe Vince allegations, maybe he did kind of push Trish in a way, or kind of make her wanted to do this, or manipulate her in some way. And then maybe later on down the line, they squashed it and they eventually became professional friends, and she didn't bury him. Where I can imagine a lot of women's talent would, that's but I guess that's Trish. Trish, she knew how to play it, how to, at that point, back then, she knew how to stroke the ego to get what you want. To kind of play by the rules to eventually become the best. And she definitely 1,010% put up with a lot of BS, a lot of patience. This Canadian professional wrestler that is, Hall of Famer. And in my opinion, I have Trish Stratus number one on my list, is strictly because, successful, all the accolades, what she would have done in contemporary WWE. Imagine her in her prime right now. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty badass to watch. But, I was lucky enough to watch it when it happened. So, Trish Stratus number one on my list. If you hate it, you love it, let me know in the comments section. I know Sports Illustrated deemed Becky Lynch number one, And like I said, I'm not hating on Becky, and I didn't create this list to spite any people who believe that Becky is the number one women's wrestler of all time. It's always kind of fun and, kind of interesting to, kind of do a little bit of research and be like, huh. But then again, I got to be honest, even if I didn't do research, I got to admit, like, oh, Trish Stratus is going to be number one. Like, maybe that was in my brain the whole time. I was like, Trish Stratus number one, sorry. Oh, no. Sasha Banks, no, sorry, Trish Stratus number one. Like, that biases, that list biases that every journalist, suffer in terms of making a list or whatever. So, all in all, hope you like my list. I'll give you a quick rundown, Trish Stratus, number one. Number two, Trish Stratus, I'm just kidding. No, moving on. Well, thank you guys for, tuning into my episode. Hope you guys had a great time as much as I did. Definitely, I love hearing a lot of feedback from you guys. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, however you guys like to call it, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. Remember to follow and subscribe to all the other amazing podcasts that the GSMC Sports Podcast and the Sports Network ultimately produce here on YouTube. You have all these amazing, passionate, enthusiastic, charismatic podcasters who have one goal in mind: to make sure you guys consume all the amazing sports content that you love so damn much. And guess what? It's absolutely free. So remember to like and subscribe. Stay beautiful. Hope you guys have a great, fun, amazing weekend with you and your family. Create some memories out there. Life is short. Hold on to your loved ones. Squeeze them, and call your mother. Call your dad. I'm just kidding. No. Anyway, stay beautiful, but most importantly, love you.